Welcome everyone to the Home Cook, where today we are going to be making Spinach Artichoke Dip. So to start off this recipe, we're going to be cutting up some garlic, 2 cloves exactly. We're going to be mincing them. Just as I decided to start cutting them, I remembered that my mother had gotten me a garlic press for Christmas, so I decided to use this, try it out. So here we go, just cutting it up, little squares. After I did this, I decided to add I added 8 ounces of cream cheese. I softened this at room temperature for about 30 minutes before I put it in. 20 minutes, something like that. Put it in the mixing bowl. You're going to be adding cream cheese, 2/3 a cup of sour cream, and 1/3 a cup of mayonnaise to this mixing bowl, as well as the garlic when you are finished pressing it out. So here we are. We are adding the sour cream right now, and this was, it was incredible. So I ate a ton of it. My brother really liked it, so all down for it. So here we are adding the mayonnaise now. And then the next step we're going to be doing is pressing the garlic. So on to that. Oh, drop some in. Here we go, press it out. And if you do use a garlic press, I would recommend using the back of the knife to remove the excess garlic after you finish pressing it. So after we mixed it, or rather we set it aside, we're going to be mixing or cutting, or grating some Parmesan cheese. We're going to be grating 3/4 cups of Parmesan cheese. This is going to be added after we finish mixing it, so I decided to do it now. We're also going to be adding 1 cup of mozzarella cheese to it, but we're going to be having 2 cups total. I think I ended up adding like 1.25 cups or 1.25 cups to it, something like that. So we are grating the mozzarella now and putting it aside in a bowl for later use. You'll be using mozzarella now and later in the recipe, so try not to add all of it to the filling after the artichoke dip itself. You will be putting it on later to form like a crust after you finish baking it. And so here we are, and I will put the rest of the mozzarella aside for later, but you will be stirring in all of the Parmesan cheese. So here we are too. We're going to be cutting up the artichokes. They say pre-seasoned or pre-marinated artichoke dips, or artichokes are the best, so I decided to just try one at a can. I probably will eventually go to marinating my artichokes themselves, but that's for later down the line. So here we are, just cutting it up more fine and fine and fine. You don't want them super small, but you do want them fairly small, but you don't want them all the way down to like diced or minced. So here we have it, continuing to cut and cut. They're very wet. They taste fantastic, and once you add them in the recipe and you bake everything together, you really don't taste them. So if you're not a fan of artichokes, you won't taste them at all, nor will you really taste the spinach. You just kind of taste this, I don't know, it's just a really good dip, really. It's like a nice creamy dip. So here we are, all the way back to not mixing. This is the spinach. They recommend using frozen spinach, setting it out to unthaw, and then drying it, patting it dry, squeeze drying it as well. So here we are. I'm using a hand mixer to blend this, and you're going to continually blend this until it is nice and fluffy. So here we are. It's not going to take very long. It's only going to take a little bit of time, maybe about a minute of mixing total. It's going to be nice and fluffy for you. Set the hand mixer aside, and now we're going to be slowly adding our ingredients. I'm adding the spinach first to add a little bit more moisture before I add the really dry cheese. I'm also going to be adding, you're going to be noticing how I do this. I'm going to do like the spinach, then cheese, then artichoke, and then more cheese. And that's going to, because if you decide to add all the cheese, it's going to be really tough to stir. It's going to be really hard, really dry. So I'm adding a little bit of wet ingredients to kind of moisten it up a little bit. So here we are, adding the Parmesan cheese now. Stirring that, getting that all incorporated, and then adding the next ingredient. Making sure they're all nice and mixed up before I add the second ingredient to make sure that it's all nice and through, not a lot of chunks are sticking together. Here you are. Next are the artichokes. Set it in my pile of bowls I need to wash. And I would definitely recommend using a 9x9 baking pan or sheet or however you have it. That's going to give you the most, just being all equal sides is going to give you the most even cooking, especially in the center. Then you're going to add most of your mozzarella cheese. Not all. You're going to want enough to have a nice layer on top so you can crust it off. There you are. And now we're mixing it together. You don't have to use a 9x9, but I would just recommend it. But you can easily use like a 7x11, or I wouldn't recommend anything bigger than that. I wouldn't recommend a 9x13. And because I forgot to add pepper in the beginning, I'm going to add pepper now and stir it in the bowl. And then I'm going to smooth out the top again, making sure there's not any holes or anything left in the spinach dip itself. Once it's nice and even like this, I'm going to coat the top in mozzarella cheese. I think I've said that like 3 times now, but here we are at the actual topping. The cheese topping. Absolute silence. Anyway, it was definitely would highly recommend this recipe. Now you're going to put it in the oven, bake it for 25 to 30 minutes. At probably, I believe 350. 350 that was the temperature I believed I set it at. No, 375. Not 350. 375 is what I did. And have a trusty handy dandy chip on hand. And you want to see that nice break in the crust, that nice toasted mozzarella cheese on top. Oh yeah. This was incredible, and it's good in the fridge for a few days afterwards, so you don't have to rush to eat it now. Incredible reheated. Highly recommend this recipe. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to catch us next time.